Everybody, Zero here again. Okay, so while I was working on this is my little processor project here, I came up with a few new blocks that would be nice if Mojang could maybe kind of put them in there, you know? Or is it Microsoft now? I don't know. We'll just keep going with Mojang. It's fun to say. Okay, so what these are is do you know how, like, in your house you have your electrical wires and they're usually inside some sort of a sleeve, right? That sleeve is called, well, okay, not the wire, like the plastic that's around the wire itself, but what the plastic and the wire goes into. It's like usually made of metal. They have plastic ones, I guess, but it's called conduit, right? And so I was thinking, wouldn't that just be amazing if we had that in Minecraft? You know, it's a bit more advanced than the redstone. It'll be kind of encased in quartz, as you can kind of see here. So this would be kind of your standard, like your redstone dust if you were to put it down. This is kind of what this is. So it's one way only, but it can go, you know, in all three coordinates, so X, Y, Z. You can go and be oriented pretty much the same as as like the pillar blocks, right? So this is kind of like what kind of gave me the idea here is like you would have some conduit going like up through here, and then let's say that you hit like a branch, right? What do I want to use for a branch? I don't know. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but we can use this, I guess. And like you would hit this branch, right? And then the branch, which is that second box, allows you to pretty much extend or like change directions, right? So you can put it like another one going this way or going down or going this way or even going up on top, so that way you can send redstone signals up. And so if you wanted to, like if you wanted to go in two different directions, you can go this way off of here and then like go this way off of here, right? So you would use this, these right here would be this block here, and then that right there would be this little corner block. And then, let me see, what do I want to use for this? We'll use this one, sure. Okay, and then, let's say that you get to the end of the signal, and for this I would suggest something like, I don't know, 256 blocks at 128 blocks or something, you know, because, I mean, you're in conduit, so you're protecting the signal. It's kind of the same thing with if you're doing fiber. You can send fiber a very, very, very long distance, and that's because the signal inside only travels in one direction. And so then you would have to have something like this, and then you would set up a repeater. Repeaters. And you would have a repeater going into here, and then you would take your redstone torch, and then this would kind of be like your extender. So this would have to be powered in some way, and I would say like directionally powered, not just like plopping a redstone block on top of it, because that seems a little too easy. Like that, I mean, I suppose it would work, but I don't know. I think using a repeater would be better. So then you have your standard straight blocks, you have your corner blocks, and then you have your extending blocks, right? So that's kind of what this is. This would be like a straight block. You can see the redstone wire, I guess, kind of coming out the middle. And this would be your corner block where you can have redstone going in any direction. And then this right here would be your extending block, right? So basically it's one way only, right? And then you would power one side or the other side, and then your signal would go top to bottom on this block. And then you would need some redstone to then power the side that needs to be powered. And yeah, and that's kind of how all that would work. And that way you can do stuff like this without having to use command blocks. Because from what I've found so far, doing this with command blocks is so much better than using redstone. Like, you have no idea. And then I also had an idea of how to make these blocks. So for your standard one-way directional, you would use 6 quartz blocks and then 3 redstone dust to go in the middle. For your corner blocks, you'd use 4 quartz blocks, 4 redstone dust, and then put a redstone block in the middle. And then for the repeating blocks, another thing, that center part, I want that to light up, so that way you know if it's powered or not. So then you put a repeater here, you put some sort of a lighting, like a lighted block, like you'd use a jack-o'-lantern or what's that other stuff? Yeah, this stuff, glowstone. So you could use glowstone or you could use sea lanterns like I've got in here. And then you would have your redstone on one direction for your transmission, you would have your lights, and then you'd have the repeater in the middle, which is basically what this whole block does, and then surround the whole thing with quartz. And that's how you would make that block. So this would make our redstone contraptions a lot better, because another thing about this, because this only transmits in one direction and it doesn't like send signal this way or out this way or out that way, is you could stack these on top of each other, and you could have like one going this way and another going this way, like right on top of each other, and they won't interfere. And so that would make our contraptions a lot smaller and more compact as well. And then, you know, if you ever wanted to just like come out of this, you could just like stop this block here and then run like redstone out of it, and then like this would count as like the last powered block, and then you'd be good for another 16 blocks of redstone. Or you could make this feed a repeater. I don't know. You can make stuff up. So that's kind of the idea that I had. I think it would be really useful. And then let's see. I redid all of my memory. As you can see, I also changed all the wires going to it. Remember, blue is a bus. So everything is now powered. We have signal going through. The golden lines, these are going to be lines that are basically set enable lines, or well, this one is technically a read-write line. And then this one would have just a write line to it, and that would be a gold line as well. And those would feed directly into the control unit of the processor, and then like depending on what command you throw into the processor, then it'll either light up one of those blocks or, you know, turn it off. To do kind of the same stuff that I do up there. And then this, I didn't like the way that my registers were, so I redid those as well. And I kind of figured out something kind of cool. So I made it so that way you can take this and basically just change, so it looks like your redstone signal, like, because I'm changing all of this to redstone. Like if that command block activates, then it makes all this redstone. So then as soon as this one here changes, then it goes down here, feeds into a command block, which is underneath that block there. And then the inverted one would, you know, basically just turn it off and change it back. So I made those. I didn't need that. Okay. No, I didn't need that. I need this one. Okay. There we go. Alright, so I made these, and then each one of these is the same thing. So basically, I could have just had these command blocks just read off of this block here and just have like empty space there. But because I want to keep this more along the lines of what a processor might actually look like, I made it so that way basically it looks like the signal is coming off of here and also going up into the register. These I changed a little bit. They still do the same thing, basically, and then outputs, like if there's something stored, like this is your data block here. If you want to read it, then this one changes to whatever this one is. It lights this up, which then lights this up, and then the inverse, when this one turns off, this one turns on, and that's how I go from, for all of these, it will light up underneath this block here, all the way to the end. And the reason for that is because if we want to take something that's in one register and then write it to another register, we can do that, but we need to make sure that the signal goes backwards to the register. And then it also kind of frees up this whole thing here, so you don't have as much delay, because each time that you extend this, you would have to put a torch on there, which would then give you an extra tick of delay. So I'm trying to reduce the delay as much as possible. And then I also have the data block feeding off into this these lanterns right here, so that way you can see what's actually stored in here. Once again, gold lines are for direct control unit control of registers, reading, writing to RAM, that one over there, the address register, all that good stuff. So each of these has gold lines going into them for the read and the write, and then we have 3 different registers here. So I also replaced all of these up here with barrier blocks, that way you can actually see through them a lot easier and stand on it. So now you can see this through a lot clearer than if I were to use this. Then you got all kinds of, like that white block there, this kind of blue one right here. They're just kind of in the way of the blocking view. So I made barrier blocks, and now all you have is just these little thin black lines. So I think it's better. Okay, so let's see. One thing to note though is just the speed in which this stuff activates. So I'm going to turn on this line here, and then I made lanterns kind of at the end of the bus over there. So if we look down there, it's on that fast. And that made it through all of this, through that turn, through all of the RAM here, through that turn there, and then through all of these things here. And then because we have that on, you can kind of see how this looks. So once this redstone block gets put right there, then that runs the signal down there to those command blocks and then runs it up. And then this register location is actually checking off of this block right here, not the one down there. And that's kind of the same for all 3. Okay. I was thinking about putting in a teleporting pad just to get up there faster, but then you need teleporting pads all over the place, so it's like, I'll just fly. Okay, so we'll turn that off, and then once again, note the speed. Oops, supposed to hit the switch. There we go. And it's off. So yeah, pretty fast. And then remember, turning off is 1 tick slower than turning on because of that stuff over there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in an address. So let's say that we want to go to this address. Or let's go to this address. I like this address. Okay. Now we're going to set this to the address register. So now it's stored over there. And because it's stored over there, it is now up here, which is why I didn't feel the need to put in lanterns over here. So we'll turn that off. Data line turns off, address stays. Alright, now we're going to put in a pattern. Okay, so now there we go. Bus is all full. We are going to write to the address that is currently loaded. Okay, so now there we go. Now we're going to turn this off. All right, so now we have nothing on the bus, right? So now we're going to read off of that address. It's still stored in there. So we're going to read. And then that should load up. Except it's not loading up. Why isn't it loading up? Alright, hold on. I'm going to pause it. See, I don't know how long it's going to take, so. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so the issue was these two were switched around. So when I tried to write, I was actually trying to read, and then when I was trying to read, I was actually writing. So that's why it didn't work. So let's try this again. Alright, so we are going to put in a pattern into this location here. So we are going to write into there. It is now written. And then we can turn off this. And you can see the bus clears off, which is good. Now we're going to read. There we go. Now we're reading. We're going to go ahead and load this into the X. So we're going to write that into there, and we can now see that it is stored in there, looking at the lanterns. We're going to flush the bus because I can. Alright, now let's load up another location. Let's see, we'll go with this location, number 2. We're going to load this into the address register. Okay, now we're loading up that one. Now we're going to put in... Okay, now we're going to write this to that memory. Alright, now we're going to go to this memory location. And then we're going to write this pattern in. So we'll go ahead and write. And there we go. Now we can turn this off. And we now have 3 different things stored. So to see what was in this first one, then we want to read. So then we have our alternating pattern. If we wanted to read what was in this second one, then we'll read. And then in this one, we're putting in the first 4. And then when we go to this one, we're going to read what's there, and that should be the last 4. So there we go. And then you could see that I didn't have to flush the bus in order to get this to overwrite. And that's because of the changes that I made with the memory over there. Okay, so we want to go back to this memory here. And then we're going to read this. So that'll be the first 4 again. Buttons, I'm telling you, man. Why isn't it working? Hang on. Okay. So we're in this memory location. We're going to write that to there. We're going to shut off the data. We're going to read from this location. And we should get nothing. Sweet. Okay. It might have been overwritten by accident. So we don't have anything loaded. Why don't we have anything loaded? Okay. Let's try this again. Okay. There we go. Okay. So the memory is in there. I just didn't have it addressed correctly. So there it is. We're going to take that. We're going to store that into Y. And we can now see that Y has that. We are now going to go to this memory location. All right. We're going to read what is here. All right, so that would be not that. Oh, this is fun. Okay, hang on. Let's flush this again. Okay. Read from that location. There we go. Okay. So, little glitchy. I think I might just be going too fast for it, but I mean, I'm going really fast. All right. And now we're going to put this into the Z. There we go. Now we have this in the Z. We're going to flush everything so that way we have zeros on our bus. All right. Now, we are going to... let's take Z and we'll load it into Y. So we'll take and look at Z. So you can see on the bus there, Z is currently outputting. Now we're going to write this into the Y, and you can see that switched over. And we're going to turn this off. That should clear. Now we're going to take the X and we're going to write that into the Z. So there's our X. We're going to write it over into here. And then our Z is now the same as X. Oh. Okay. Now we're going to take these first 4 and we're going to write this directly into X. And there we go. So now we just kind of moved everything around a little bit. And then we can turn all that off. And there we go. So yeah, it's pretty cool, right? We'll load it, and then I suppose I should probably clear out the memory. So we went to this location first. We're going to write this to the address register. There we go. Now we're going to overwrite this with nothing. so we have nothing in our bus. We're going to write. Now we're going to load up the next location, which was this one. Then we're going to turn off our data. We're going to write. So we're basically writing zeros into there. And now we're going to take our final location, write that into there. Okay, I'm going to turn off our bus. And then we're going to write this into there. And now, if I were to read from this current memory location, we should get nothing. And we get nothing. Okay. Now we'll go to this location. There we go. And now we're going to read. And we get nothing again. Alright. Actually, I should have technically turned that off. But what you saw over here is that it did overwrite what was already on the bus. So that's kind of cool. And then we'll take these two, write this into the address register, stores that, turn these off. Now we're going to read, and we should get, once again, nothing. And we do. Alright, so now I'm going to overwrite the X register, the Y register, and the Z register, and now they all have nothing as well. So yeah, there you go. That is a pretty good function check. Let's rewrite this guy too. There we go. Okay, so now everything's turned off. I just did a whole lot of operations from up here. Loaded data into 3 different memory locations, took the data from each of those, put them into registers, moved the register data around, then I cleared the memory, then cleared the registers, and everything works. So, alright. I think that'll be good for this video. We also went over some new blocks that I would really like to see in Minecraft. That would be awesome. And yeah, so I'm going to call this one here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I think now that I've got this stuff all pretty much down the way I want to, I can start working on the control unit and the ALU, and then we can work on doing all kinds of fun stuff. So, yeah, should be fun. Alright then. See you later.